The bank stress test was designed to restore confidence in the markets.
At least we'll have some idea of who are the healthiest and who are the weakest.
Final results won't be made public for another 10 days, but the Fed today released the details of the test itself, which simulated how the banks would hold up in more severe conditions. The test simulated the economy contracting more than 3% this year, unemployment hitting more than 10% next year, and house prices falling 22% in 2009 and another 7% in 2010. But some analysts say those assumptions may not be severe enough.
When you look at their bad case scenario, it's now much more like what most people are expecting.
And Wall Street is still skeptical.
I think it's a public relations gimmick that went bad.
If the government gives the banks an A-OK, says Dick Beauvais, no one will believe it. If it says the banks are in trouble, it could cause another panic.
So they've put themselves into a corner, and it's really going to be interesting to figure out how they're going to come out of it.
At the same time, the government's now setting up an auction market for the banks to sell off the bad loans that have caused this crisis.
These are all the mortgage documents of the toxic assets that need to start transferring hands.
The Denver-based Allen Hill Company analyzes those bad loans for potential buyers.
And you think there's going to be a healthy market for this?
I do think there's going to be a very active and healthy market immediately.
But Sue Allen says the banks will take big losses.
These assets are going to take extreme write-downs. And the reality is that that will disrupt some of these banks.
Some analysts believe the banks could still need another $1 trillion to shore up their balance sheet. Any banks that fail the stress test have until next week to tell the government how they plan to come up with more capital. Katie?
Meanwhile, Anthony, Ford is reporting a first quarter loss of $1.4 billion, but apparently it's good news because it's not as bad as expected.
Exactly. And Ford actually also said they now expect to break even in 2011 without government help. And that's significant because the government gave GM another $2 billion today. There are also reports GM is now preparing to scrap Pontiac, the brand, which has been around since 1926. There are also reports that Chrysler is preparing to file bankruptcy next week, even if it does get a deal with Fiat. So things are moving fast in Detroit.
Lots going on in the auto industry. Anthony, thank you so much.